So let's take a quiz here and answer the question, what's not on this plate? We are following the direction of fat, fiber, and protein for the purpose of learning how to steer our blood into optimum range 70 to 85. So in keeping with that, we have a dinner plate here that represents fat, and it represents fat because fat is the food group that causes the least rise in glucose and insulin. After fat is protein. The blood sugar and the insulin rise a bit more with protein, but it rises a bit more than that with carbohydrates, including broccoli, greens, etc. Then, when it comes to the man-made food and even some natural foods, the blood sugar will spike. And when blood sugar or glucose spikes, then insulin spikes as well. So we want to eat in accordance with fat, fiber, and protein so that we satiate ourselves with food that has a low glucose and insulin stimulating effect. So let's review here. We have here, let's start over here. We have cheese, we have sour cream and cream cheese with a dollop of horseradish. Here we have stewed pork shoulder. Here we have beef steak, a fatty cut. Here we have stewed chicken thighs. Thighs because thighs are the fattiest of the chicken parts. Here we have a zesty pork sausage that I made myself, because when you purchase pork sausages that are ready-made or anything that is made, quote, for your convenience, it's going to always have sugar, dextrose, maltodextrin. It's going to always have something in it that is adverse to your health, including your glucose and insulin response. Here we have an egg souffle, which is comprised of eggs, heavy whipping cream, a variety of cheeses, etc. Here we have ground turkey, sauteed with onions and peppers and butter, etc. Here we have mixed greens. Here we have a broccoli souffle. Anytime anything is souffled, it always includes eggs. And in this case, it also includes black-eyed peas, onion, cheeses, heavy whipping cream, bacon drippings, etc. Here we have lentils, and we have refried beans. And in the stewed chicken, we also have kidney beans and aduki beans and green peas. So, as I've mentioned before, legume-eating people live 5 years longer than those who do not consume legumes. In the legume family, you have beans, peas, and lentils. And even peanuts are a legume, for example. So in the center of our plate, We have chickpeas, salsa, heavy whipping cream, Asiago cheese, and red onion. And red for the polyphenols. Anytime you can choose something that has color, and especially deep color, the more deep the color, the more polyphenols it will give your body. And polyphenols are in the best interest of your health. So we look at this full plate and we can see that we would become satiated from this plate. In fact, somebody asked, do you eat all of that? And the answer is no, I don't eat all of this at one time. I eat from this plate until I'm satisfied, and then I put it back in the refrigerator and pull it out the next day, and I eat from it again. And if there's anything that I've eaten all of, for example, I would probably eat that whole piece of steak. So then tomorrow I would cut another piece of steak to put on this plate. But I continue to eat from the plate until everything is gone over several days. Now I do that for the sake of efficiency, so that I don't have to make a plate every day, because I'm one of those people where I don't have enough time to cover all of my bases. And so this is one of the things that I do to save on time. So the question is, what is missing from this plate? When you think about going out to eat, or you think about what you would think to cook at home to create a meal, what would you say is missing from this plate? Do you see potatoes? Do you see rice? Do you see pasta? What about bread or foods that have been dredged in flour before frying? Do you see any of those blood sugar, insulin spiking foods on this plate? The answer is no. This is a very important point to recognize, because I want you to understand that you can make your menus in a manner that will be filling, satisfying, non-bloating, and you will be satisfied, very satisfied. You will enjoy this plate. And what will happen is, if you stop eating when you're satisfied, then you will be controlling the release of glucose and the release of insulin in your favor. Now, I want to point out that there are carbohydrates on this plate. The legume family represents carbohydrates. The greens, the broccoli, represent foods that are carbohydrates. Any food that is non-animal is a carbohydrate. Animal foods represent both fat and protein. In nature, you will never find protein without fat. So fat and protein, the body is used to metabolizing. To that end, if you eat your fatty foods first, so in other words, if I were to take a couple of bites of the cheese first, that's going to help coat my stomach with pure fat, no protein. By doing that, I'm going to lower my body's response to the foods that include the fat and the protein. So if I take some bites of the cheese, followed by some bites of the animal products, dipped in sour cream because that's an animal product, before I start taking bites of the carbohydrate product, then that is going to, again, be a technique that is going to help my body to cope with the carbohydrates better. So, the content of the food on your plate matters. It should represent fat, fiber, and protein. And then the order by which you eat this food also matters. Start with the fatty product first. It also matters the volume of food that you eat. That's why you want to practice paying attention to when you feel satisfied. You want to eat at a slower pace so that your brain has the opportunity to register that the amount of food in your gut is satisfying, so that you don't overrun the gut, filling it much fuller than need be because you're eating so fast and the brain didn't get the opportunity to register the full status before you ate too much. The next lesson that I want to point out and share with you is the fat content that I cook with. So this white package is called leaf lard, L-E-A-F, leaf lard. I get that online from a company called Fannie and Flo, and Fannie is spelled F-A-N-N-I-E. Leaf lard is the most nutritious lard because it's taken from the fat around the kidneys. I use KG Kerrygold pure Irish butter, unsalted, because it's pasture raised. And when animals graze on grass, then their byproducts have a higher level of vitamin K. Vitamin K assists the body in transporting calcium from the blood into our bones where it is needed. Back here, we have bacon drippings in that jar. And here we have heavy whipping cream. Going over here, the bacon drippings, you see this packaging back here, uncured bacon, and it says no sugar. I buy this at Aldi because, believe it or not, most of the grocery stores, every package that you will look at, you might be able to find one, but most bacons have sugar in them and other chemicals that you don't want. The same is true with pork. So I buy the ground pork and then I mix the pork with eggs, cheese, spices, including sage, and pink salt. And that's another reason why I like to buy the unsalted butter. Let me make that point, because I like to be able to use pink salt to salt my butter because it's a more premium salt. I don't want the table salt that only has sodium and chloride, 2 minerals in it. I want the full spectrum of 90 or so minerals that are present in the pink salt, because this is about nourishing the body, giving the body the right inputs that support our health. So with the pork, ground pork, I include sage and black pepper, wasabi, cayenne pepper, etc. I season it to taste, and that's how I rid the opportunity for the grocery store system to impart chemicals into my body that cause illness, that cause you to then have to buy over-the-counter medications or go to the doctor to get prescriptions because the food is contaminating the body. It's not body compatible, and it causes us to have lots of symptoms that we don't ever connect to the food that we're putting in our bodies. The other fat that I like to use is cheeses. I like to use goat cheese. I like to use Philadelphia cream cheese, pepper jack cheese, mild cheddar cheese, Asiago cheese. Another fat here, sour cream. And I like to use walnut oil. Walnuts are a plant source of omega-3 fatty acids. And when you add oil to things like salsa, I like salsa. But salsa, I don't eat it quickly enough before it ferments. So I like to squirt some of the walnut oil into the salsa, and then the salsa lasts longer and stays fresh longer without fermenting. The same is true with sour cream. If you have a problem with sour cream spoiling before you use it all, if you added either the walnut oil or the lard or some bacon drippings to it, then that will extend the life of the sour cream, because lard never spoils, bacon drippings never spoil, and if you keep the walnut oil in the refrigerator, it probably would never go rancid, although liquid oils tend to go rancid if they're left at room temperature. But if you keep it in the refrigerator, then perhaps it would not spoil. So just wanting to further your knowledge, further your understanding, because the more that you understand and the more knowledge that you have, the more you're going to be able to understand that the epidemic of insulin resistance, prediabetes, diabetes, etc., it's because we've not been trained how to eat. We've been guided to eating the foods that are in the restaurants, and those foods are not typically cooked in lard, butter, heavy cream, bacon drippings, etc. They tend to be cooked in liquid oils, liquid seed oils, like canola oil, corn oil, things like that, that promote inflammation and that promote insulin resistance. So, fat, fiber, and protein Stay away from man-made foods like your crackers, cereal, bread, things that are even natural, such as rice and potatoes, tend to spike the blood sugar. When you become a daily inside tracker by taking your blood glucose reading in a fasted state on a daily basis, you're going to be able to personally understand what causes your blood sugar to rise, what causes your blood sugar to move into optimum range, 70 to 85. And then you're going to be able to personalize what you do based on that personal knowledge that you get about yourself, your habits, and what those habits do to your blood. So, I also want to share the symptoms that are associated with blood glucose and insulin spikes. And they include, first of all, they damage the circulatory system. And the circulatory system guides your blood. It's the system that your blood travels. And when it travels through your vascular and your circulatory system, it carries with it oxygen and nutrients. When the system is damaged and the blood has a hard time getting through, then we get symptoms such as fatigue, dementia, high blood pressure, heartburn and heart disease, headaches, vision and hearing loss, etc. The list goes on and on. When you learn to control your blood sugar and bring it into that optimum range, many of these issues will dissipate. And thereby, you won't have to buy the pharmaceuticals. You won't have to make as many doctor's appointments. You won't have to buy as many prescriptions, because so many of the diseases and the dis-ease, the things that plague us, such as even bloating when we eat, we just don't feel good after we eat. Those things are caused because our bodies were not designed for the chemicals, and they were not designed for the man-made foods that a lot of times are 70% of our diet. People have the habit of getting up and having bagels, getting up and having cereal, getting up and having toast. So right away, after you've been in a fasted state during the time that you're sleeping, you get up and then you give your body an insulin spiking food. And over time, even with kids, this is happening. We oftentimes think that kids can get away with eating anything. But the reality is their insulin is high because of the foods that they're given to eat. And it'll be 20 years, 30 years later before their blood sugar becomes high. And they'll never connect the fact that it was the French fries, the sandwiches, the ketchup on the French fries, the Kool-Aid, the juice, the pop that goes along with these meals, the bun on the hamburger or the hot dog, etc. This is a problem, and it's a problem that we don't fully understand, and thereby we're not empowered to think differently about how we plan our meals. So I hope this information helps you. If you have any questions, please leave those questions in comments and I will answer from there. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'm rooting for your success. Bye now.